You scroll past another true crime documentary tonight. Someone was found. Someone is missing. A detective explains the timeline in a calm, practiced voice. You watch it like it's a modern invention, a modern tragedy, something that belongs to courtrooms and headlines. But the real answer is far stranger. The first murder case ever solved wasn't solved by a detective. It was solved by a glacier. And the victim had been dead for over 5,000 years. Your brain assumes murder is a modern glitch, a breakdown, a failure of society. But your ancestors were killing each other long before society existed to fail them. So when did one human being first deliberately kill another? And how do we even know? In 1991, hikers in the Alps found a body frozen in the ice. Scientists named him Ötzi. For years, everyone assumed he simply froze to death, an ancient traveler caught by bad weather. Then, in 2001, a routine X-ray revealed something no one expected. An arrowhead lodged deep in his shoulder, still there after more than 5,000 years. Ötzi didn't freeze. He bled out. Someone shot him in the back and left him to die on that mountain. It remains the oldest confirmed murder case on record, complete with a weapon, a wound, and a killer who was never caught. That single arrowhead changes everything you thought you knew. This wasn't tribal warfare. This wasn't a battle between armies. This was one person deciding to end one other person's life. Personal, deliberate, human, in the most uncomfortable sense of the word. So if Ötzi is the oldest solved case, is he the oldest murder? Not even close. Push the timeline back further to a site called Nataruk, on the shore of a lake in what is now northern Kenya. Researcher Marta Mirazon Lar led the team that uncovered at least 27 skeletons there, dating back roughly 10,000 years. Some had their hands bound. Some had skulls shattered by blunt force. Some still had sharp points embedded in their bones. This wasn't one death. This was many, at once, and none of it looks accidental. But notice the difference from Ötzi. Nataruk looks like a group killing a group. Ötzi looks like one person killing one person, quietly, on a mountainside where no one else was watching. Both are murder, but only one of them required planning, patience, and the choice to walk away afterward. Go back further still, to Jebel Sahaba in modern Sudan, where archaeologists found a cemetery of bodies roughly 13,000 years old. For decades, scientists assumed one violent event killed everyone at once. A researcher named Isabelle Crèvecoeur later re-examined the wounds and found something worse. The injuries weren't from a single day. They were layered, old and new, healed and fresh. This wasn't a single massacre. This was a place where people kept killing each other, generation after generation, as an ordinary feature of life. Go back even further, past modern humans entirely, to a Neanderthal known as Shanidar III, found in a cave in Iraq. His skeleton showed a deep rib injury, one that researchers have argued was caused by a thrown or thrust weapon made by another hand. If that reading holds, the impulse to kill didn't start with us. It may be older than our own species. Here's the question that should be bothering you by now. If murder existed this early, before farming, before writing, before anything you'd call civilization, then what was it actually about? The answer is almost disappointingly simple. Jealousy, betrayal, a stolen resource, a personal grudge that finally boiled over. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies, groups still living lifestyles close to our ancient ancestors, have documented exactly this. Most killings within a group aren't strategic warfare. They're deeply personal. A dispute over a partner, an insult that couldn't be forgiven, a rivalry that ended the only way one person could think to end it. Sound familiar? It should. Pull up any modern murder case, strip away the phones and the forensics, and the motive underneath is often the same one a person on that alpine mountain might have felt 5,000 years ago. And these weren't always crimes of chaos. Some show planning. A shot from a distance, angled so the victim couldn't see it coming. Then a decision to leave the body and walk away without ever facing what was done. That is not a loss of control. That is a choice, carried out and then quietly buried in silence for thousands of years, until an X-ray machine finally asked the question no one else could. Now consider Talheim in modern Germany about 7,000 years ago. Researcher Christian Meyer and his team uncovered 34 bodies there, thrown into a pit without ceremony. Men, women, children. This time, the victims weren't foragers on a lakeshore. They were farmers, settled into permanent homes, with land and stored grain worth defending. You'd expect settling down to calm things. Instead, it may have raised the stakes. Once a person has something worth stealing, and a neighbor who knows exactly where to find it, murder stops being rare. It becomes almost predictable. Here's the twist that should genuinely surprise you. Despite everything you've just heard, psychologist Steven Pinker has argued, using centuries of historical data, that you are living through the least murderous period in human history. Not the most violent, the least. Wait, how does that fit with an arrow in Ötzi's back and 27 bodies at Nadaruk? Pinker's data suggests that in many early human groups, violent death at the hands of another person may have accounted for somewhere between 10 and 20% of all deaths. Compare that to modern homicide rates, which sit at a tiny fraction of a percent almost everywhere on Earth. The Lakeshore Massacre, the mountain ambush, the pit full of farmers. These weren't rare tragedies breaking some peaceful ancient rule. They may have been closer to normal. Which means the real headline isn't that ancient humans were gentle and something in modern life corrupted them. The real headline is the opposite. Murder is old. It's foundational. And nearly everything about modern law, modern courts, modern policing exists specifically because this impulse never fully left you. So think about the last true crime episode you watched. The interrogation, the forensic team, the verdict. All of it is a modern cage built around something ancient, something that once needed no cage at all, something that lived quietly in ordinary people on ordinary lakeshores and ordinary mountains. You don't carry an arrow or a blunt weapon today. You carry rules, consequences, and a society built specifically to hold this impulse in check. But the impulse itself, the flash of rage that makes one person decide another person's life is worth less than what they want, that part is older than the wheel, older than writing, older than the very idea of civilization. So tonight, when you scroll past another true crime documentary, remember what you now know. That story isn't a modern invention at all. It's the oldest story you have. And somewhere on a mountainside in the Alps, it's already been solved once before.